Bob Hollis with the Mobius Network, and today we have a quick tutorial on how to use Community Builder 1.8. As it's the latest version on Joomla 2.5.6, and here we're on the Kirk site. You don't see too much with Community Builder the way we've got it set up right now on the front, but I'll be able to show you some more front-end access momentarily after we log in. So as I mentioned, nothing's showing up here that would give you access to a directory or any of the other things available through Community Builder. So I'll show you what that looks like first. Okay, so we are back on, and I'm logged in now. And as you can see, there are a couple of things that look different here right away. Other than it recognizing me being logged in, there's also a directory of tutorial videos here that only show for admins, and this will be among them. And then here we've got a block called CB Workflows. And anything in here would be items that needed to be approved by a moderator. So if I show you in the back end where we set up moderation specifications, and if something needs to be moderated, it would be listed here, and the moderator, when they log in, can just check to approve, or not, depending on obviously what it is. So then we can go into the back end to take a look at how all this works. So, well, other than the workflows, one other thing I should show you here is now we have a registered member directory. And so if I were to pull up that directory, you can see how things are laid out. Image here on the left, a couple of fields showing here in the center, and then some others here on the right. A total of 1,048 registered users, and you can break it down and show various lists depending on what you want available. And each of these lists can display any information that is so set by the members of that list, so that you can give each member access to update their own information, to add their own photos, etc. Okay, so that's what it looks like on the front end. Now it might make more sense to you when we take a look in the back end. And also, I didn't, let's see, Kirk member profile. This is where a person can set up their individual information. So you can see that I'm in here, obviously, and we've got my current status. I'm online, member since 17 months ago. That's when I first set this up, I believe. And then you can see project fork activity. So there's another video on project fork, and but to just discuss the community builder aspect of this, you'll notice that project fork projects are integrated right into community builder, so I don't have to log in two different places. And I can look at my tasks. I can show a list of things I've completed, and there are different ways of showing this for each individual. And that's about all to show out here for now. So now we go into the back, and you'll see how all this comes together and where you can adjust all of these settings and layouts to work the way you'd like them to. So I'm already logged in here on another tab, and that takes me straight to the administrator control panel on the back end. And once I'm there, if I want to get to Community Builder, I go to Components and Community Builder. And I'll just go to the main page here, but you can go directly to whatever aspect or area you want to work in. You can see here that we do have the latest version. I updated that recently, and thus I'm doing a new video. So this is a fresh download and the latest as of August 30th, 2012. So here we've got user management, tab management, field management, list management, plugin management, tools, and configuration. So these are the tabs or areas that you'll work in more frequently when a site is up and running. Configuration you generally do once, and then you're set. And you can change it as you need, tweak it, but it's not the type of thing you go in and do every day. So I'll take a look at that first, and we'll walk through it, and then cover each of the other tabs and the main functions under each one. So once we're here in Configuration Manager, you can see pretty clearly what this is. The different types of names. Do you want a first and last name field? Do you want just first, just last? Here you can see what the different options are. And I don't want to change anything there, so we'll just leave that like it is. Name format. Do you want name and username, username only, name only? I recommend against showing usernames. It gives people half of anything they need to log in under a false identity. Date format is pretty straightforward, and you can go through each of these and see what they do. And then there's an explanation over here to the right for all of them as well. And I don't want to take too much time on each one of these because this would become an incredibly long video that you wouldn't want to watch to get to the part that interests you. So when we go to registration, then you can see whether or not we're going to allow people to just come in and register on the front end of the site. Are we going to require admin approval or not? So obviously the trade-off is if somebody registers and they require admin approval, somebody will need to manually go in and approve each of those people. You can also just set it up to automatically approve. With this particular group, it's not been a problem, so we've got that set to automatically approve, and they'll get an email confirmation to help keep the spam bots at bay. So it's a typical sign-up process that you would be used to seeing on just about any other website out there, where you can self-subscribe to a mailing list or something along those lines. These are just settings about registration name, email. These are pretty straightforward. A little lower down here are your message templates. So depending on what's happening, these are the different messages that will go out in response. And again, there's an explanation over here on the right for each of those if you'd like more detail. And I will be showing you a place to get more information on all of this if you'd like to follow up further. User list. This is where you can create lists of, you say how many will be on the list. So when you display a page on the front, for example, when we pulled up our directory, how many do we want to show at one time? We've currently got that set for 30, so number of users per page. And then do we want to allow a link to the profile so that when somebody comes in and takes a look, they can link and find out more information about that person? Now, this is a closed group. It's generally a pretty good group, a lot of college people working on recycling projects. So we've also left those links live, and that's how it's working. So then user profile. Here's username, the different types of field validation. Do you want that sent to the administrator? Who to allow access to? And you can, again, see how all this works. Do you want to show empty tabs or not? Text to display for empty fields. And again, there's an explanation over here on the right for all of that. Images. Main point to pay attention to here is the size. Well, of course, are you going to add the image upload and let them do that themselves? And then the size and the total file size. So here we're talking dimensions. Here we're talking total file size. 512 is generally good because you don't want anything too big anyway. It would really slow the site down if that had to load every time somebody pulled up a profile. Moderation. So who moderates? Here we have it set to administrators. And do they need to approve users? Yes. Send moderators email? Yes. Allow reports. So you can see everything here. Require upload image approval. Yes. So that's where we were talking about if somebody were to upload an image with their profile and you wanted to go check it first to make sure it was something that is inappropriate for the website, then that would go into that work queue on the home page here. So that would show up right here for approval. And again, this block module doesn't show up until you log in as an administrator. And then connections. This is where you can allow people to use Community Builder like an internal Facebook page, a social networking tool. That's what it is. It's a community builder. It pulls people together and allows them to connect. But how you do that and whether or not you do that is totally up to you as the site administrator. So you can enable connections. That means people can connect to each other. Do you want to display those connections to the public or not? The connection path, does it require mutual consent? And what's the notification method? Can you cross connections? And then what are the names of the connections? And you can add additional if you like. And again, explanations here. Integration. This is mostly just how the software is working. You won't need to do much with this, but it's nice to keep this on automatic at least so you know if you're staying up to date with the latest software. So that's configuration. And now I'll go through each of these tabs. Again, once this is set up, you probably aren't going to do much with it. Tools is just a check to see if everything's working here, and different things that you can do with a database. You should not have to do anything with this. If you do and you feel like there's a problem somewhere, just check with me if you like, and I'll take a look to make sure that you don't do anything that you don't really intend to do. So let's jump over here to user management, and we'll work through these, which you'll be using on a more regular basis. And actually, once they're set up, it's again pretty self-managing. In user management, you can see a list of everybody here that's a user. You can go into their information and edit that as you would any other Joomla user. And I won't open that right now, but it's pretty self-explanatory once you get in there. Tab management. Now, this is what gives you control over the front-end profile. So you may remember we looked at that profile out front, and we saw different tabs out there. And that was for, let's go over here, Kirk member profile. So you can see we've got tabs right here, and that's what we're talking about. So if I go into tabs, you can see what's published, what the access level is, and what the position is. And that's how you can control the setup of that. We've got a total of 19, and you may recall that we had, for example, the project fork activity, project fork projects, and these are plugins from project fork. So what happens is if you have any third-party system that works with Community Builder, which many of them do. Community Builder is a Joomla extension, and a lot of other Joomla extensions are developed to work with Community Builder so that you can integrate things like blogs and forums and newsletters and project fork, mailing lists, and a lot of different systems all in one place. And it's great because it allows users to come to one place and use one central system to manage everything and access all of the relevant data. If they make a post in a blog, their posts show up in their profile. If they were working on a project, their project tasks show up in their profile. And again, those can be set so that they can only see them or the public, or just registered users. It's all up to the site administrator. And I believe in this site, when we set it up, we made it very much optional where the user has control over what fields they show so they can manage their privacy. And that's obviously the benefit of doing this internally instead of using a Facebook type page. You can control advertising and privacy and make sure that all the information is generally kept safe and not abused for commercial purposes. So here is our field manager, and this is the information that's on the form that people fill out. So if a new user came to the site, and I'll go ahead and log back out here and act as if I'm a new user registering. If I came in here and said I need to register for this site, these are the fields that show up. And we'll look at those again in the back. These icons are self-explanatory, what they are. You can choose to show or not show any of those as you like. We did put in a CAPTCHA here, but made it a pretty easy CAPTCHA. To me, CAPTCHAs are like bicycle locks. You know, the important part's to have one. You don't necessarily need the best, but have some deterrent to spam bots. So that's what we're using here, but making it easy enough that it's not frustrating for end users. Then you can see what all we have, and we have them automatically subscribing to our newsletter when they register, so that gets them onto the list by default. Of course, they can choose to unselect that option. So if we look in the back again, remembering all these fields, these are those fields. So if they can be moved around. You can see we've got a total of 37, and you can show as many as you like, all on the same page. A lot of them aren't required. A lot aren't even set up. So we are only using so many, and that's good to keep keep it reasonably easy for somebody to complete the field or complete the form. You can add as many fields as you like and do whatever you like with them, and then show them on your list management settings. So that's where we are here. So here we've got, you may recall there was a Kirk member list and just a general members list that showed up when we were looking at that front side. And one is set to only administrator. I think that was just a little demo list that was going on. If I click here into the CB list manager, you can see all the options we have. So again, the title, description of what it is, and again, there are explanations here to pay attention to. Who can use it? Here we've got all registered users getting access, and all people in these groups are showing in the list, whether or not it's published. And then you remember the columns that we looked at? We had an image over here. Let's go take a look at that. Oh, except that I'm not logged in anymore. Well, you'll be able to see when you look back on it. So you may recall I pointed out there was an image over in the left column, then we had some fields here in the middle, and a few fields over here on the right. And so you can enable or disable any of these columns, and then add or remove any of the fields of information that we're collecting. Down here is where you set up your search parameters for the front-end search feature. So that's list management. Plugin management is what we discussed earlier with Project Fork. So, for example, you can see here's a CB reCAPTCHA. That was a plugin that we're using to create that CAPTCHA form and keep the bots away. And then we've got one here for our AC Mailing Community Builder plugin. That's for newsletters. Project Fork, and again, these were developed by Project Fork, not Community Builder. So whenever a third-party developer puts together something that is being heavily used and they want it to look the Community Builder community to be able to use that, then they make a Community Builder plugin, and that makes all these work together for a much nicer end-user experience. And the reason they'd be motivated to do something like that is if we go to the Community Builder site where additional information is available at Joomopolis.com, then you'll see that they've got nearly 500,000 users, members. But members are people who've signed in to download, to register and download these tools. So that's quite a nice population. And it's a very stable product and something that people have been using for a long time. So it's heavily used in the Joomla community. If you need some additional support, here on the Joomopolis.com page, you can see an FAQ, forums, articles, tickets. These, though, are for paid subscribers. Tutorials. So if I were to look at tutorials, now I am logged in, by the way. I logged in here in advance to save a little time. And if I go into tutorials, you'll see here's one on installation, configuration, plugins, users list, localization, use cases, picture books, and presentations. And more get added all the time. You know, with the open source community, we're all out there helping each other. So that is our tutorial on Community Builder. If you've got any questions, bob@themobiusnetwork.com. Thank you.